Hello, hello, and welcome everybody to another Thursday night live stream. Of course, I have my buddy, my pal, my co-host, and my best friend, Chattanooga Ed, here with me. Ed, thank you for joining me. We've got a couple dozen people in here. We're letting people roll in. I'm going to say some hellos real quick. I don't get to do that very often. Mystery Snail Gardens, what's going on? Drinkwater, Daryl Deemer, Carol Cox, TJ Autocross Med, Cal 74M, Mary Beth McCubbins, of course, Rico Stan. Thank you for being here. I'll get that super sticker here in a minute, buddy. Much appreciated. Fish Tank Barn, Kent S, 503 Aquatics. What's going on? Sandy Dowdy, Jenny Lynn, S, Ken S, lots of S's, and I'm sure I missed somebody. Trevor Gregory, what's up? And everybody, Rico Stan with that $5 super sticker. Before we even got started, actually, I have one party popper I found after the stream last week. I don't know.
Oh, you just
Rico
popped
Stan.
it.
I did. That was for Rico right there, our buddy. I don't know what's going on with the party popper accessibility, but it's starting to get very, very frustrating. And the only ones I can find on Amazon are like these really big, like boomstick confetti poppers.
Oh, cheapers. Those are for I
don't know. I might just need to get one of those massive fireworks mortars that we saw at that one place, Ed, on the way back. They're like 2-foot fireworks mortar, and I'll just start lobbing stuff through the ceiling when we get super chats. The neighbors won't be mad at all, I'm sure. Neither will the fire department.
A third camera.
We do.
We'll have to set one up outside or something.
So we have got something a little bit different going on tonight. That we'll, I guess, dive into it here in a minute. But it's a little bit different topic than we normally go over. But first, I want to talk about a couple things while people are rolling in. A couple of milestones, if you will. We're about 8 subscribers away from hitting 2,700 on the Fish Room Fever YouTube channel. So huge thank you for that. Thank you, Patty. Patty's going to make me blush. Bless your heart. Appreciate you. So that's one of the things that I've kind of been struggling with for a while now. We're going to talk more about that because we're going to have a show more about hobbyists than about the boxes of water that we keep, at least this week anyways. And thank you all so much for the compliments on the new look. This is me. I mean, this is how I used to do me. I would shave the beard off seasonally, and then this was my thing, and then I'd go back to the beard in the wintertime. And I felt kind of trapped, like I haven't been able to do it. So I finally said the heck with it. Part of the problem I've had with making videos is feeling like I was constricted and not being able to fully be myself. So here I am.
Did you always kind of have the cool spiky hair?
I used to do that a lot. So typically I would even like buzz the sides down and just have the top done. But
I meant when we did live streams together. For last 2 years.
I've done it once or twice. Normally I wouldn't put product in my hair before the stream because typically I'd shower before. But I mean, this is the look. So I went ahead and put a little product in there and I'll just wash it out afterwards. Nevertheless,
I had hair product.
Right. I mean, you got that awesome red beard, Ed. You got that thing's amazing and it gets compliments everywhere. So moving on from that, though, again, a huge thank you to you all. Almost 2,700 subscribers. That means a lot. A lot of us YouTubers check that thing fairly often. So it's great to see things like that. A little slightly off topic-ish in terms of being YouTube related, but definitely Fish Room Fever. I love it, Ed. There we go. Looks kind of like your skull, like a chunk of skull just hanging out there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This was what I was supposed to dye red. And I was dyeing it red every day and then washing it down as pink.
Yeah,
so if you do that, try to find like a different color bear than a white bear.
Yeah. So imagine being in the hotel with this guy and you go into the restroom and that thing is laying on the sink covered in red dye with a little toothbrush next to it covered in red dye. And they're kind of propped up on a little thing so they don't make a mess. His head's very, meticulous in his craft work and he doesn't make disaster areas. Just kind of like, I'm not even going to ask. And you just kind of go about your way. And then eventually he's like, oh, I was trying to do this thing. But another thing I've got going on here, anybody that is on, and this is going to be a controversial thing, we won't talk about it long, anybody that's on TikTok, if you create videos on there, I know there are a lot of people out there that do and a lot of people that hate it. If you create videos on there, I'm going to encourage you to put hashtag FishRoomFever in there when you're creating it. I've got kind of a thing going. So the hashtag Fishroom is a little over 18 million views currently for that hashtag. Hashtag Fishroom Fever is at a 7.6 million. So we are trying to take out the tag hashtag Fishroom. We want to beat that and we want to put Fishroom Fever above it. So if you do make videos on there, give that a go. I would love it and I'd appreciate it. And I think it's just a fun thing to do to be able to take something and, the community move it forward above what I guess the status quo hashtag would be, or a common terminology. So that's just a couple things. But tonight's topic is, like I said, a little different. And for those of you that read the title or description, you know kind of what we're getting into. You've braced yourselves. For those of you awesome people that just kind of show up because you love being here, thank you so much. But it is, like I said, a little different. This guy, Ed, did you look at the description? He's like, no. I'm like, I didn't expect you to, but I want you to be ready when we start talking different. And I will say we will be doing Q&A still. So if you have questions, feel free to throw those in the chat, and we'll take some pauses throughout the stream so that we can address those. But this is something that it hits home for me for personal reasons, but also because of the effects I've seen on other people, positive or negative, good or bad. But I want to talk a little bit about fish keeping as a hobby and hobbyists. Some of it's a little darker, if you will, but also the positive side. So fish keeping, it's of course a fun hobby. Let me start there. It's a great hobby. I would encourage anybody and everybody to get into it as long as you have some level of responsibility for caring for animals. That being said, it can be very therapeutic in a lot of ways. It's actually, been tested in a lot of psychology fields for various things to help people with, various, I guess the word disability is frowned on now, disorders. And I say that coming from a psychology background and living with a psychologist growing up. So I know terminology changes, but, a lot of us in the hobby, and myself included, and I've very briefly touched on this, but we're just kind of being open and free and having a talk here, Joe Rogan style, if you will. We're just gonna share it, including myself. I have kind of turned to fish tanks for stress relief, anxiety relief, lots of different reasons. But there's also a physical aspect to it. And that's really shown with, quarantine and COVID. And we'll talk more about that here in a little bit. But there are a lot of reasons people turn to the hobby. And then I guess our wrap up will kind of talk about the fish family community, and why I feel like it is so important to have the bond that we all have in terms of this hobby, not just for better fish keeping, but also for better personal lives. But for anybody that doesn't know, and I'll let Ed share it. Ed, you've got your own story about fish keeping and YouTube and why we're sitting here talking right now.
Yep. You want me to just tell my story?
Go for it. Just tell us your story briefly. Just kind of sum it up,
Okay, well, I've always loved fish my whole life. My dad got me into fish when I was a kid, and I've just loved it. I love sea monsters. I love anything from the ocean. So, which is kind of weird that I'm a freshwater guy, but the creature from the Black Lagoon, he was a freshwater guy. So, oh my gosh, he's on the ground.
Uh-oh.
I didn't realize he fell off. He was just kind of sitting here next to KG. Okay. Oh, and you can't even see him. Oh, well. Nevertheless, I've always loved like sea monsters and fish and going underwater. And it's always been something that I've kept, a couple of fish tanks. When I worked at the auto factory, I had like 3 big fish tanks in my house because I didn't have enough time to just take care of dozens of tanks. But I was collecting dozens of tanks. Whenever somebody would say they were giving them away or something, I'd pick them up. And I built a room in my house. I built my own house. And I was designing it to have a fish room someday when I retired. Well, I ended up hurting my back real bad and had to have an emergency surgery and everything. And had to give up kind of my whole life that I used to do. Because I used to play softball once a week. I bowled 2 or 3 times a week. I'd play hockey once a week during the summer. I stopped playing ice hockey a long time ago when I realized it was just, I was getting too old for that, but I was still roller hockeying. So I had to give up all that. And the one thing that I still could do that I loved was my fish room. So I decided I was going to push hard and finally do the fish room that I have today. And when I was in the St. Louis Fish Club there, but I moved down here to Chattanooga to be closer to my family. because everybody had moved pretty much out of St. Louis except for my brother, who was married at the time. So I decided, well, I'm going to come down here. And I didn't know when I wanted to just join the fish club here, and there was none. So I figured, well, I'll go to Nashville. There's no fish club there. Knoxville, no fish club there. Atlanta, pretty much saltwater clubs. Closest saltwater club at the time was Cincinnati and Indianapolis. So those are my two big choices. And I joined the Indianapolis one. The people there are so nice. And I did we went to one of the meetings for Cincinnati, or we went to a swap, and it was nice too. So Cincinnati, by no means, you're not cool. It's just, I think we have just more friends in Indy, James and I. But I originally went by my first and last name on here, so that's how, and nobody knew where I was from. And I was like, you know what? I need to start finding people that like fish. So I changed my name to Chattanooga Ed. So other people around Chattanooga that are on the live streams that I was always, loving and doing would know that I was here. And even though I'm not truly from Chattanooga, I'm really from Missouri, St. Louis, but they've accepted me. Nobody's ever told me I can't have the name Chattanooga, so that's cool. But that's how I met Bob. He said, oh, I'm from Cleveland. I'm like, oh, well, that's nice, Ohio. And then he said, no, that's in Chattanooga also. So from Bob, I met James. Bob and I would go to different fish stores all around and stuff. And we met James in Knoxville. And James was like this really fired up guy about YouTube. I was only making YouTube because I did the math for the aquarium box. Oh, I should have had an aquarium box close. The aquarium box was this deal, a monthly deal where you get free, well, not free, it costs you like $20 and you get like $40 worth of free fish stuff. Not free, $40 worth of fish stuff in the box. And they would pick 2 videos, unboxings, if you opened your thing, and give a mega prize. And I did the math, and there was only 14 people making videos, and that means they were giving out 28 or 24 prizes a year. So I started making videos, just unboxings, and that's basically all I was doing, was trying to get free stuff. And I won twice, and it was just because it's a process of elimination. But it was kind of cool because I won once with Sean Peck, who's a Knoxville guy, and I ended up getting to meet him. And the next 6 months later, I won with Rack. So It was kind of cool that Tennessee connections, even through that, it was crazy. But this guy here, he was like full fire. Oh, we got to make YouTube things, and I'm going to pass you Chattanooga Ed in subs. And I'm like,
it was fun.
Okay, I don't care. I mean, I didn't care at all about subs. I was just caring about winning.
He really still doesn't. He just loves to be here. But I'm dragging him along.
But it's a lot of fun, Yeah. Well, now I do want subs because I want to be able to eventually get enough subs to get free fish food.
Yeah.
Bob Steamfot said last week he could get any food he wants for his fish. I'm going to be spending $100 in the next couple of days on fish food that'll last me a few months. So I would like to be able to get the free fish food. That would be pretty cool.
Absolutely.
But the going to the conventions is a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it, and I was going to try to make a St. Louis or a Chattanooga club. That was one of my goals. I was going to make a club that was Knoxville, Chattanooga, and do bi-monthly meetings and try to get, at least all the Knoxville people to show up in Knoxville and all the Chattanooga people to show up in Chattanooga, and some maybe go back and forth. But with the YouTube, all you guys are my fish club because I get to talk fish with you guys all the time, and hang out with y'all. So I stopped pushing towards trying to make a fish club because that was so much harder. This is so much more easy and fun. And that's where I am today. It's a crazy kind of story, I guess. But
it is, and I think you've wound up in an awesome place. I think it's fair to say that. You seem to always enjoy life when I'm around you. And I won't share any of your stories, but hearing a lot of your stories from, back before your back got hurt and you had to, retire and all of that, you had a really like full life. Like you did a lot of things. You were kind of the man, if you will, in a lot of aspects.
Yeah, I was very active.
Yeah. And it would have been very easy for somebody in that situation. And I've seen it happen before, unfortunately, to kind of go from having this full life, which you have a full life now, just in a different way, but it would have been very easy for somebody to go from having that full life to just kind of sinking into a depression and just sitting at home, just kind of by themselves, focusing on things that they'd lost versus finding new things that they could do and new doorways to open up. And that's one of the things that I see when I hear your story, just being your friend, is, you being the awesome, positive guy you are. You did take it and make it a positive experience for yourself, given the situation, but a lot of people haven't. And I think that's also kind of where the community ties in, where Chattanooga Ed comes from, is, getting those connections and other people that are in the hobby and kind of, maybe you don't get to hang out with your hockey buddies all the time. So let's find some fish buddies to hang out with, having that support group, if you will. So that's one of the things I love about your story. I've never told you that, but it's almost, we'll just say a victory, for lack of better terminology right now. And the fact that you are who you are, and you made what could be a bad situation into something good. I think fish keeping and the fish fam had a big part in that, because if you hadn't had anything, you're you, so you would have gone into crafting. But a lot of people who don't have a thing, if you will, they kind of sink into the depression or whatnot. And I've lost everything, and now I have to sit at home and not be able to have a full life anymore. So kudos to you for being the awesome person you are. And we love you, buddy. There are a lot of people, again, who turn to this hobby, and I'm not going to name any names, of course, but I've spoken to a lot of people, whether it's anxiety, whether it's depression, lots of different mental disorder factors. And I say that as somebody who's in that group. So don't yell at me if you don't like that term, to help them with things. But again, it's not just the fish tanks. The people on here, the people that are hanging out in this chat, almost 100 of you. That's awesome. Thank you. I kind of figured this was probably going to bomb because it wasn't talking about what's the prettiest fish for a 10 gallon. But we find strength in each other. And I think that's a wonderful thing. I personally, I've kind of talked a little bit about some of this, but we'll give you all the full Fish Room Fever story. But we'll do it briefly so we don't bore you, right?
Oh,
Robert Medley says, hi, everybody. New subscriber here, new to the fish hobby. Welcome to the fish hobby, Robert, and thank you for subscribing. This is a little different than our normal topic. Our normal talk, we're usually, all about what's in the tank, how, what are we doing, what are the best fish, what are the best plants, that type of stuff. But we want to do something a little different. So I hope you enjoy it, but also know that if maybe this isn't your cup of tea, check back next week, and we will be back on track with the usual fish talk.
Before you get into yours, we are talking about things in the hobby. G Bear said, whatever happened to the aquarium box, Greg Jones?
Mm-hmm.
And Greg's is still doing fine. I think he's still doing shows, selling his supplies at shows. But he got a full-time job that pays really well, and he just isn't able to put the time into YouTube and the aquarium box. But he doesn't hate fish. He's still alive and happy and healthy. So I just wanted to throw that out because a lot of people really don't know what happened to Greg Jones.
Absolutely. No, and I appreciate you doing that. So since YouTube just decided to clear them, before I forget them, let me say a huge thank you for a couple super chats. Both of them are from Patrick Hardy. Thank you so much. One was a $2 super sticker that was an on-set chair, and the other, it was a $2 super sticker also, but I didn't catch what the icon was. I'll try and go up and find it, but I think it was also related to that. Oh, it was the microphone. Thank you, Patrick Hardy. Very much appreciated. Not necessary, but always appreciated, my friends. Thank you so much, and thank you for being here and hanging out. Fish Tank Barn had a very good comment. was saying he knows a lot of people that, they work and they don't have hobbies or a way, to have a release, and it's just not a good life in his opinion. I absolutely agree. There are a lot of positives to the hobby. There really, really are. And aquariums can be helpful in a lot of different ways. There's also a darker side, and they can also be negative in some ways. And in truth, fish room fever in and of itself can actually be a bad thing. And that's not just throwing that out there for branding. Multi-tank addiction, the same could be said for that. And I think, quarantine time really showed us that. We had a lot of people that I've talked to that during quarantine set up a lot of tanks, and now they're back to work. So they're not home all the time, and it's become very stressful for them. Or they've gotten past that being stressed out, not having time to do it. And so they've just taken down a bunch of tanks. And that's honestly the best thing you could possibly do. If it comes to a point, and I saw somebody said that the hobby wasn't peaceful, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who said it. I was kind of looking through the chat as it went. But, the hobby wasn't really peaceful or relaxing or therapeutic for them until they got rid of their umbunas. And then after that, it's been therapeutic. And that's really something to take into consideration. If you have something going on in the fish room and it's causing you more stress than it is enjoyment, for me personally, that's when I take a step back, when you can humble yourself to do that and just look and go, do I really need this thing? Or do I really need these other 16 tanks? Can I have a more enjoyable hobby without that thing? So being able to look at those things, analyze that, and then understand I could have a better hobby and more enjoyment if I didn't have this fish or that tank or that rack. It's a part of it. And never be ashamed to just go, this is too much. I've got to, back up a little bit. I think some people get in over their heads, and there's kind of maybe a sense of pride in the way, if you will, of, well, I've gotten here, so I've got to do it. But you don't have to. It should be an enjoyable hobby. It should be fun. Are there going to be stressful moments? Yes, but there's stressful moments with anything. I've yet to find a hobby that I didn't have a stressful moment in. Things happen. Maybe it's like when I was working on cars, order a brand new exhaust system and it comes in all banged up. That was a stressful moment. And, I had my engine ripped apart and was out without transportation for about a week trying to get that part reordered so I could rebuild my engine. Doesn't mean I didn't enjoy working on cars, though. It's just stressful things happen.
The doctors always used to, or like cardiologists would say, get a fish tank because it's good for your heart. It's relaxing. Huh. But, they really don't say what not to get, like in a Mabunas or, something that's going to slaughter each other. It's kind of like my first job was at Warenberg Theaters. It's a movie chain in St. Louis. It's been bought out. It's not even there anymore. But there is this story that was, it sounded like an urban tale, but it was actually true, where this guy, he was just had heart surgery, and the doctor said, just take it easy and go to a movie and relax. And he went and saw Silence of the Lambs, and his heart ripped open, and he died in the theater because his heart was pumping too fast. So it's like, you can pick the wrong thing.
You can. You can. It's one of those, that was a horrible idea. Well, maybe you shouldn't have done that particular thing. They should have given you maybe more specific advice, or at least not so broad advice. But yeah, absolutely. That's a very good point. A lot of awesome people in here. Brian Marshall says, thanks, Dee Dee. It doesn't surprise me when others say fish keeping help them in their hard times too. It really gives a sense of purpose. It really does. It's also a creative outlet. If you're somebody that, constantly needs to tinker with things, or is looking for a way to express yourself, aquascaping is a wonderful way to do it. Even if you're not like doing the, Serpa Designs aquascape level, even if you're just putting tanks together. I've thought of setting up one of the scaping boxes at home just to be able to play with it, just so I could like build a scape and then tear it down and then build another one and not have to set up an additional tank. That's going to be great to have the additional practice. But it's also a nice stress reliever just to be able to try and build that pretty thing, take a picture for Instagram or whatever, and then rip it apart.
Now, are you going to put sand in it?
Probably. But yeah, that's a whole nother thing. It's all about finding what helps you, and what your level of intensity is, if you will, in the hobby. What's the thing that you really enjoy out of it? And then again, coming back to the community, all these amazing people, 105 people hanging out in here. Thank you so much.
Holy cow.
You know, there's a big group of us, and we'll talk more on that here in a little bit. To kind of share my story, I think I need a drink for this one. It's just water. It's just water.
Drink water.
Drink water. I saw drink water in here earlier. I was going to make a joke. Hey, I'm drinking water right now. So I've never represented a false side of me, but you never really just get to see all of somebody spending an hour watching them once a week, you know? How do I even begin and keep this short? Hey, on the Oscars, how's it going? So basically, Michael Long, I shaved this past Saturday right before the Saltwater Saturday stream. So the Saturday people got to see that. Some of you all, it's shocking and new, and I appreciate all the support because it is a little different for me because I haven't gotten to shave in so long. But, you know, for me, I don't know, a lot of people hear this and they've got a misrepresentation of what it means. So I am what's typically coined as bipolar. I'm manic depressive. And I've noticed a lot of people hear that and they think, well, that guy was fine, and then he just flipped out and yelled at everybody. He must be bipolar. That's not what that means. And we won't get into exactly what it means, but that's not what it means. I have high times and I have low times. And like when Ed mentioned that insane drive to just, you know, YouTube, got to do the videos, got to do the things, got to get the subscribers. That would be a representation of my manic side. Whereas, you know, we'll say the past almost year now, a lot of things have gone on at home in my home life with family. And you've seen more of the depression side. I really can't handle all these fish tanks, or I can't make a video because no matter what I create, I just delete it because it's not good enough. But the fact is you all have been here throughout that, getting to talk to you all for an hour, you know, 2 hours, including Ed's show every week, has been almost the best part of the hobby for me. I love the fish and I enjoy the fish, but I got to that point where I was in over my head and I had to cut back. And that wasn't even a time related thing. That was just a psychologically related thing. But it's one of those things. I'm also one of those people that when I get into a hobby, I'm into that hobby. Like not that you can be the best at fish keeping, but anything I do, I'm like, I gotta be at the top. I gotta be the best. You know, when I was a store manager, we had the number 12 store in the company out of 15,000 plus. And that was great. And I celebrated my team for it, but I always was like, come on, we need that number one spot. You know, we're in the top 0.2%. We need to be number one. What's going on, Detroit? Good to see you. Crystal's Pets and Plants. Hello. A couple of people we got to meet at Aqua Shell in Chicago.
For sure.
That was super fun. So that's just kind of me. You know, when I'm into cars, that's my thing. I'm strictly into cars. And I'm the same way with video games, and Mrs. Fever hates it because I'm the person, when I get on a video game, I play that one video game. I'm not jumping games. I'm not playing this and then that. I like to do one thing. Hyper-fixate, I guess, is one way you could put it.
Well, I'm that way with games because I don't like to play lots of games. So if I find a game I actually like, I just stick with it.
Absolutely. But one of the darker things is if you've got an addictive personality, which kind of plays in, and I'm not speaking about any type of substance abuse or anything. I'm just talking about, some of you will understand this. You get on a thing and that is life. Like, okay, I've got work, I've got family, and then this is what it's all about. Hey, Easy Aquatics, what's going on? It's very easy to overdo something when you hyperfixate on it or have an addictive personality. And that's one of the things in the hobby that I feel like we tend to encourage. And not intentionally. We don't intentionally go, hey, go get in way over your head. Go get in too deep. No pun intended there. But it definitely happens. Of course, we should always be supportive. James, did you get younger? Thank you, Brian. Detroit Shrimp and Aquatics. I appreciate that. Paul Stero, all you awesome people with the compliments. I really do appreciate it. After a couple of years of not doing the me look, it was kind of like I did it, and I'm like, I just look old. What happened to my jaw structure? But I appreciate y'all. It does. It feels good. So thank you for the support and the compliments.
I wish I could get younger. Maybe if I got a wig.
I think one of the things, we've talked about this, one of the points that kind of stresses that is when you talk to people and they go, oh, well, I only have 8 tanks. And they're not using it as an excuse of, well, I'm not doing too much. They're saying almost like it's not enough. They'll tell you, I only have 8 tanks. It's not like you've got 60, 70, 80, 100. I only have 8, or I only have 5. As if to intentionally point out that they know that that's not impressive, quote unquote, when in fact it is. I mean, everybody's number is different. Ed's number of tanks that's comfortable for him may be 80, and mine may be 8. And there's nothing wrong with that. I won't only have 8 tanks. I'll have 8 tanks. I'll have what I enjoy. Yeah, absolutely. DD's finned in. Multi-tank addiction is more literal than it sounds. It really is. And that's actually part of, again, where fish room fever came from. Having grown up in a psychology household, I kind of played into the whole play on words thing there. Multi-tank addictions, when you get a whole bunch of tanks and then you get past that and you filled one room, so you need a second room to fill with tanks, and that's fish room fever. That's when you get multi-tank addiction to the point that one room doesn't hold them all. But I feel like as hobbyists, we do kind of play into that. And again, we don't do it intentionally, but there's certainly that sense of, well, if I just set up more tanks, people will like me more, or that'll be more awesome. That's not everybody, but you do see it, and some of it's, like I said, some of it's good. Ed, he could probably set up a whole nother fish room and not hurt his comfort level of fish keeping whatsoever, and still enjoy it just as much and probably more, if I'm not mistaken. I love he's over there crafting.
Yeah, I'm paying attention. I love to talk and paint.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh, I know you're paying attention, buddy. I just think it's awesome because that's kind of your thing, is to just craft out. Dave Diaz says -4. I have 3. Probably should work on that. There you go. IHSPS Tank Tribe says my only is 7, in the sense that I'm planning more, but only 7 are set up. There you go. There are different ways to choose. But I have had quite a few people that say, like, it's not impressive enough. Well, I only have 5 tanks. That in and of its own right is an amazing thing, and it's awesome that you have any tanks. Thank you, K-Boy 88 saying, who just got here from the KG Tropical stream. Huge shout out to John and Lisa, as always. It was great hanging out again with them at Aquashella Chicago, and I appreciate the send over. So much love and support. Thank you all. Again, this is a little different stream than we typically do on Thursday nights. We're talking more about hobbyists than we are about the fish, but we're taking any questions. So if you've got questions about your tank, feel free to throw those in the chat, and we'll jump out there and grab those from time to time. So that's just kind of something I wanted to share. Like I said, I know I've talked to a lot of people, and some people it's depression, some people it's anxiety, people with PTSD who have turned to the hobby, and people who have suffered physical traumas that turn to the hobby. For example, an individual who has maybe gotten disabled now via, they've gone to war and they lost a limb, and they can't really enjoy the same life that they could. And then, they went to this therapy office and there's a fish tank set up there, and they really liked it and they enjoyed it, so they set one up. Hawaiian name, thanks. Absolutely. I'm sure I screwed it up. Let me see if I can recover from that with my Hawaiian here. Huma huma nuka duka apua. There we go. That's Hawaii's state fish. I believe it's still their state fish, but that is a trigger fish. So hopefully that makes up for me screwing your name up if I did. But yeah, that's kind of me, and that's kind of where I'm at. And I know that there are other people out there that have gotten to the point of being stressed in the hobby. But the great thing is, like we've talked about, you're not alone. I'm not alone. We've got each other. We've got 104 people hanging out in here currently. One of the things that I would stress is trying to grow that community. And I don't mean that in the sense of we need to get more YouTube subscribers. I mean that in the sense of,
but we do.
Yeah, I mean, we do. So do me a favor. If you just came over from KG Tropicals, we're probably about 7 away from breaking the 2,700 mark on subscribers. Smash that subscribe button, because YouTube tells me only 36% of people that watch this will actually be subscribed. So let's prove them wrong. Anyways, thanks for leading me into a shameless plug there, Ed. That was not intended, but hey, why not? Let's have some fun with it. Yeah, that used to be the longest name of a fish. Absolutely. So, yeah. This integer says I have diagnosed OCD and bipolar. It's a perfect storm for fish keeping. Yeah, it really is. No, we have each other. And what I mean by branching out, if you will, again, it's not about the subscribers. It's about letting people know that this community is here. There are a lot of people in the hobby that are kind of alone. And some of them are even on YouTube, but they don't realize that the quote unquote fish fam is here, that the Fever family is strong. There are a lot of people going it alone. So I feel like it's kind of, at least for me, it's my responsibility to make sure people are aware. Hey, you're not alone in this. I know that you're aware other people keep fish, but we have a really great community. And you're welcome to be a part of it. And there's no fee to get in other than liking fish. So,
yeah, I think I once read that there was 7 million people that had fish in America. And I bet you it's gone up, or households, because in a household is, an average of probably 3 to 4. So, I mean, that's actually like 22 million, but still 7 million households is pretty good. But I bet you it's gone up because of last year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
People just there's a lot of us that have no idea that there's a YouTube. I didn't have any clue until I just happened on it. I was looking up, I found out this YouTube platform was like, oh, I can learn tips and tricks to this crap. And I was looking up things, how to make things for your fish tank on YouTube. And that's how I discovered Sean Peck. Was the first person I ever really watched, was because he made stuff for his fish tank.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, and again, my thing isn't go like, hey, I have a YouTube channel, come check it out, which you could if you've got a YouTube channel. But even if you're just like, you're randomly talking to somebody in a fish store, somebody that's got a fish tank, because there are so many of us out there, just be like, oh, by the way, there's KG Tropicals every Thursday night. Send them there. Have them come hang out in that chat, talk to some people. Aquarium Co-op, send them there, have them hang out. I'm not saying send everybody to Fish Room Fever, but you should, because, hey, we're an awesome group and we all love it here, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like the more people we can bring into it, the more lives that we can make better. Because how many of us in here would not be in as positive of a mental state if we didn't have this group, if we didn't have the support system, the friends, the fish fam, if we were just kind of with our tanks and alone, and we went to the fish store once a week for fish food or water or something, and then we went back home and we were just kind of alone in our hobby. I think that most of us have a better life mentally and emotionally because we have welcome to the dark side. We have cookies. Yeah, absolutely. And see, absolutely. Because we have each other. And that's one of the wonderful things. Dee Dee's Fishton says KG Tropicals last Thanksgiving, first live stream. Yeah. I mean, they're one of the big channels that are bringing people into the YouTube community. If you a lot of people, that was their first place. Same with Aquarium Co-op. Other people,
What was your first?
Steam Pot. I honestly don't remember. That's another one of my downfalls, is I have a mental library and certain things just don't make it in there for storage on my hard drive. And I couldn't tell you really what my first was. I will tell you this, and I've kind of mentioned it before. I was around the fish fam on FishTube long before you ever saw Fish Room Fever. I just came in under my regular name. And then I came up with Fish Room Fever, and then people started seeing that. And I started being more active, but I've been around for quite some time. I actually uploaded my first fish video about 9 years ago now on YouTube. And it wasn't to be a YouTuber. It was simply because I was trying to share a video of my fish with somebody. And that was the best way to share a video file at the time. So yeah, I think it's really important, to understand not only are we all here to have fun, because we are. His original name was Sexy James. Yes, it was Liquid Zoo. It was. No, God love you, Liquid Zoo. You always crack me up. But yeah, I think it's a great support system that we have. Even if you don't realize you're part of that support system. And I know we've got a whole bunch of people that are lurking. We've got 112 people in here. Probably about 50% of those people are lurking and listening. You all are a part of that too. Because what you don't understand is a lot of people will go to places. Now we've got like the dedicated fish fam, if you will. But the fact that you all are in here lurking and listening, and the replay crew coming back, yeah, that plays into channel numbers, and yeah, that plays into the algorithm and all that stuff. But if we're being honest, how can we help more people if we don't do those things. The more people we could reach, the more people we can help. So you all are a huge part of that, and the fact that you show up. So now there's 100 people, so that makes it a little bit more likable by YouTube. So maybe we can get 5 new people that didn't know, that this crazy group of fish fanatics was in here. These fantastic freaks. Thank you again for the shirt, buddy. So yeah, that plays into it. That's a numbers game, but it's something that you kind of have to look at for the greater good. But you were talking, and then we're going to move on to some other stuff. I'm going to grab some super chats and see what else I may have missed in the chat. I've been trying to keep up. I haven't seen any actual, like, oh my God, I need help. My fish is dying. So I haven't, addressed any of that because I haven't seen it. But you mentioned you never knew who keeps fish. My former boss kept fish. I didn't know he was an African cichlid guy. Had a really awesome, it was either a 72 bow front or a 75. Didn't know he was a fish keeper. What got me started with the actual Fish from Fever channel was that realization that there are so many people out there that keep fish, and they don't really have an outlet to get a hold of other people for help. They don't realize that YouTube exists. They're just kind of like, I keep fish, something's going wrong. My local fish store said this, but I don't even think that's right. Or I went to Petco, and this is no shame on Petco. Some of them are amazing. Some of them are horrible, just like any company. I went to Petco and they told me this, and then that was wrong, or I didn't implement it right because I didn't get the full story. Like you said, go rest and watch a movie and then have a heart attack while you're at the movie. But I was at work one time, and a gentleman was buying some water, and he asked when we'd have more gallons of water in stock. And I told him whatever the day that truck ran for that store was. And I forget exactly what I had mentioned. But that's when he mentioned the water was for his fish tank. And I had again, I had the other channel. I put a couple little things out. But really I was just kind of hanging out, being part of the crew, if you will. But I didn't mention YouTube. I was like, oh yeah, I have fish tanks. I've kept fish for years. And it's like, oh, so here's my problem. And he starts telling me what's going on with his fish being sick and what he's trying to do and what's been recommended. And I was like, okay, here's what I think, because you all that know me know that I'm very much, in my experience or in my opinion, I never strictly say this is right and this is wrong. But I was like, well, in my opinion, try this. It sounds like this. I can't really diagnose it 100% without seeing them. But as we're talking about fish, the customer behind him chimes in talking about aquarium fish. And the lady behind her says, I used to have a fish tank 20 years ago, but they all died. And I got rid of the tank and I never got back in the hobby. So again, it was one of those, like, this whole line of customers and myself that are all fish keepers or former fish keepers that don't really have, don't realize that there's so many of us out there and don't really have a way to connect. So, that guy at this point is pretty much working 7 days a week. I was like, just come on in anytime. Pretty much always here. That's my car outside. It's Dodge Magnum. It's a big station wagon with a Hemi. It's hard to miss sitting out in front of the building.
And hard not to hear.
Yeah. So like, you see that car, I'm here, come on in. I'll be happy to help. So he'd bring me back like pictures. And I eventually ended up taking some of his fish back home and treating them because like, he had life going on and he had a newborn. And it just wasn't a good time for him to be trying to save a tank of fish that he wasn't quite sure how to save. But we went through a process of like a couple times a week. He'd come in and be like, try, I'm doing this. This is what's going on. He showed me a picture on his phone, whatever. And that's where I was like, I don't want to give people my phone number. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. Went through a lot of hoops trying to find that particular car. I love that thing. But I digress. Who knows? Maybe we'll stick a fish tank in the back of it. I'm more going to go down that rabbit hole. But that's when I kind of came up with the idea of making myself accessible via the internet, via social media, Fish Room Fever. And so I spent like 2 months trying to think up a name and find something that was available on all platforms and all that. But it gave me an outlet, kind of touching back to the mental aspect. One, it helped me tie into the community, try and help people. Because like I've always said, no matter what you're talking about, whether it's fish or fish keepers, bring value, try and make it, entertaining. So even though we're not talking about fish in the boxes, I hope we're still bringing some value. I hope some people in here have maybe had the realization that, hey, it's not just me. I'm not alone. Because there really are a lot of people in the closet in terms of feeling like even though they're in the group, they feel like, well, I'm the only person that has this problem, and this is why I turned to fish tanks. And I've seen a lot of things, and I will say my heart goes out to anybody who's dealing with a cancer in the family. That is something I've been through with close relatives several times, and my heart very deeply goes out to you, and I hope that things can be resolved in those situations, because I know how rough that gets when it's not. But I hope this has helped someone. That's my point. Hey, KG Tropicals, what's going on? Who's that guy on the stream with? Yeah, I don't know. That goofy guy. John, thank you so much for the send over. Very much appreciate it. It's so much fun. I almost wore my keepfishkeeping.com t-shirt tonight, and then I remembered I had already promised I was going to wear Fantastic Freaks tonight. So I'll be throwing that KG Tropical shirt on next Thursday. Again, a huge thank you for that. I hope you found this interesting, John. And by the way, I noticed the little thing with Lefty there. I like it, my guy. I like it. And that's all I'll say on that. But again, I've always wanted to help. Another part that plays into that, and Ed, you've kind of seen me around, if you will, so you can understand. Yeah, it was a really fun stream. KG Tropicals was. And if somehow you got here and you don't know that KG Tropical streams before us on Thursday nights, go check them out. And they've got awesome stuff on keepfishkeeping.com.
And just sub right to them.
Yeah, I mean,
just take our word.
Just take our word for it. I mean,
sub, hit the bell, and then watch it.
Blue hair,
watch it first.
Red hair. I mean, you got to trust these guys. We look like we're in a band, So how can you not listen to that?
At the end of we were actually told we look like we're from the band Fish, which is ironic.
Absolutely.
What does the band Fish look like?
Apparently us. So one of my things is I really enjoy talking to people. I do. But I don't have that sense of comfort. And I know this is going to sound crazy for you all that come in here and you listen to Ed and I talk on Thursdays. Because we hang out, and I'm not like it needs to be more tats to be in a band. I don't know how. I mean, I could do more, definitely, and I've got a lot more that you're not going to see on camera. That's on my OnlyFans website. Just kidding. Fish Room Fever After Dark. But no, we've got some tattoos, but I like that Aquatic Jack. I enjoy talking to you all. I enjoy talking to people. That's the thing I miss the most about leaving customer service and leaving management and retail. I had I had customers, and I said patient because the one lady, her husband was a stroke patient. But I had customers that literally followed me through town as I would move stores just for the customer service, just because of the conversations, because I cared about what was going on in their lives and I enjoyed talking to them. And it wasn't about just selling them crap, because I love people. That being said, I had a given reason to talk to people. People, kind of expect when you're shopping, you're going to get some customer service. I'm very much not the guy in a crowd to just randomly come up and start walking to people. I get very anxious about that. So it's one of those things that this has allowed me, if you will, to be able to talk to you all. It's given me a reason or an excuse to be able to talk to people. And same with Fish Room Fever. When I'm out in public as Fish Room Fever at events, that's kind of my responsibility, if you will, is to go out and shake hands and have conversations. But even still, Ed can tell you a lot of times I'm just kind of off by myself and just kind of do my own thing. And I'll follow people around that I know. I'll walk up to people that I know just because I'm I know I'm welcome here. But it's helped with social anxiety in that sense. If I have a given reason to talk to you that you're not going to go, why is this guy talking to me? I love to have conversations. But if it's not something that's, outright purposeful for me to come up and just start talking, I'm not that guy. Ed very much is. Ed will talk to anybody about anything, and I love it. I draw off of that energy when I'm with Ed. And I'm very much appreciative for that. So that's just another part of my craziness. And why I love this hobby so darn much. There's some dark sides to it. My addictive personality has definitely taken over. And again, I'm not talking substances. And I'm not shunning anybody that has had that issue before. On the same hand, but I'm very much, when I get into something, I am into something. All out fish room fever is me, and I am fish room fever. And then I had to dial it down. I was like, dude, this is ridiculous. This, even being a quote unquote YouTuber, even being at home full time, even being quarantined in the house 24/7, this is still too much. KG Tropicals, thank you so much. Says I look 10 years younger after the haircut and the beard trim. I appreciate it. My thoughts were, John, even though I stink at basketball and I'm going to fall on my face, at least I could try and look young, even if I don't feel it, right? So kudos to you for showing me that I needed to at least try and look young. Now I just got to get the physical aspect of it behind that, right?
Now only Big Rich has a mullet.
Yeah. So that's, again, a huge thing. I appreciate you all, because I know people, and you don't have any idea how much it means to me. You really don't. But when people come up and they say, I love your live streams. Thank you so much. You've helped me. Those type of things, that means the world to me, and I'm glad to hear it. But I want you all to also realize how much you've helped me, how much you've helped other people, even without knowing it. So Crow Flake is a substance. There you go. Absolutely. I love that new local Austin. That's great. Does Mrs. Fever like the look? Yeah, she does. So Mrs. Fever was very much against the beard for about 7-8 years. And then I did the beard, and then it was no, don't shave it off. But yeah, it's one of those, you have to get used to it. You have to get used to it. But she also likes to dramatically dye her hair different colors. And so she might be, long blonde hair. And then I come home from work and she's got a pixie cut with purples and greens and reds in it. So she doesn't really have a whole lot of room to talk for dramatic appearance changes, but you never know. I love it. Anyway, I'm going to roll up through here. Say some thank you for some super chats. I don't think I missed any fish related questions. I know I haven't called out all the comments, but I have been looking at them and I do appreciate it. I'm going to roll back up to some of the highlighted stuff here in just a second, but let's say some thank yous, because it's been a minute. We've had several people. We have 503 Aquatics, $3 super sticker with the fist bump exercise pair. Thank you, 503. That's the next thing I need to do. I need to exercise.
She's super cool too.
John, I'm kicking your butt the next time we're on a basketball court. Let me tell you that, buddy.
And folks, next time he's on the basketball court, I'll videotape it.
Dear God, don't. That's going to be a members only.
Yeah, it will only be on James, so that way I don't make any of the other YouTubers paranoid. Right. But we'll just be like this with James. Whoa! Go!
That would have been bad. I mean, that might have been the viral video I needed, though. Who knows?
But Mike may have ended up on top of him once. I don't know. I'd have to get that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Oh yeah, Fish Tank Barn and I were not really suited for that. But huge thank you again, 503 Aquatics. Appreciate the super sticker. Appreciate you being here. Mike's Aquatics and things with the $10 super sticker with that awesome controller game. Level up guy. I need some muscles like that. That guy right there, he's got the muscles to flex. Appreciate you, Mike. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Always good to see you. IHSPS's Tank Tribe with the $1.50 super sticker with those little red hearts. Thank you so much, IHSPS. I don't care for stupid people either. So absolutely appreciate you. And it's always good to see you. Our buddy Brad, Mr. Fish, sir, throwing down the $1.50 super sticker. I haven't seen this one before. It's just the mustache. I like that. I will say you're not going to get just the mustache. It's going to be the like super deluxe short goatee. I haven't done just the mustache look since I worked fast food management years and years ago, and you couldn't have anything below the upper lip. There's like one picture of that still floating around somewhere. And mustache only look does not suit me. We're not going to go with that one. But Brad, very much appreciate you. Looking forward to seeing you again soon. Brad's another one of those awesome people that we've gotten to meet throughout our years. It's crazy that we can say our years of doing this. Time flies.
Just mentioned that maybe the next time you play basketball, you should wear elbow pads and knee pads.
Yeah. And I should just get bubble wrapped and duct tape before I do it.
I'll bring my hockey bag. You can totally stood out.
Perfect. I love it. But thank you, Brad. Looking forward to getting to hang out with you again. Michelle Kinsey with the $5 super chat says, besides God, husband, and family, it is because of all of you wonderful people in the streams and chats. Thank you all. Michelle, thank you. I mean, that sums it up. Absolutely. And we appreciate you being here because it's thank you to you as well for being a part of it. Because without all the individual pieces, we wouldn't have the overall thing. And that's what makes it so amazing. Xanadu. I'm going to have to jump back to the chat to find that one because it's YouTube Studio, so it doesn't show me the very last super chat or sticker to come through. I just see the top of it. Here we go. $5 super chat. Thank you. I hope those endlers are doing well for you. I know they were last time we talked. It was a great stream, James. Between COVID lockdowns and cancer in my tanks and the fish fam helped me hang on. Brother, absolutely. Hang on. I mean, that's I could go down that emotional road. You know, my aunt who lived with us since I was a baby and pretty much helped raise me while my mom and dad were out because they own their own marine construction business, among other things. So they were always extremely busy. You know, we lost her to cancer some years ago. And I've had a lot of cancer-related losses in the family, but that was the one that really hit me the hardest because she was basically my second mom. She spent more time raising me a lot of times than my mom did, not because my mom was neglectful in any way. My mom was the best mom I could ever ask for, but because my mom was out there working her butt off right along with my dad, trying to give us the best life possible. So that's as far down that rabbit hole of emotions as I will go. But absolutely, brother, hang in there. Thank you for the super chat. Never expected, but again, always very much appreciated. And we're just glad to have you a part of the Fish Room Fever family, the Fish Fam, the KG Tropicals fam, the NERMs, whatever you want to call it, whatever brand you want to put on it. We're glad you're here. Glad all of you all are here. Let's see. Rolling on down through here. Paul Steer says, James, that's assuming you have a local fish store close by. For those of us that don't, platforms like yours are the only place to interact with other fish nerds. Absolutely. We've talked about that before, but I didn't even mention that one tonight. Just because I was trying to fit a lot in without going too deep into the subject, if you will. But yeah, that's something we've talked about many times. A lot of people don't have a local fish store. Some people are hours and hours away from a local fish store. They don't have any way to interact with other fish people other than YouTube. And there are some environments out there on the internet that are not as awesome as where we are. They don't have quite the same awesome people. And that's one thing I will say is there's some really bad groups over on some of the other platforms, and I won't say specifically which ones, but you can get into some really nasty fish places, if you will, on some of the platforms. So this group that we have here, this YouTube community, we're very lucky to have it. I'm very lucky to have it, and it's an amazing thing that we all share. So yeah, very good point.
I have to address something real quick.
Yeah, go right ahead, buddy.
Too Cooley for Schooly said that only Burt Reynolds and Tom Selleck are the only two guys that were ever able to pull off mustaches. Well, he's never met Dick Bucka.
Oh, yeah. He did, yeah.
Just throwing that out there. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Absolutely. MSC Aquatic says, as soon as I'm healed up, I got 3 more tanks to set up. Hey, congratulations to you. I mean, if that is the level that you're looking to be at, absolutely congratulations. I support anybody in setting up new tanks, and I love new tanks. Who doesn't? I mean, let's be honest. We all like to set up new tanks. We like to see new tanks. But I think sometimes we kind of get lost in translation, and we just go all out, especially, again, with the quarantine. I've talked to quite a few people. You know, some of them are well on their way with multi-tank addiction and fish room fever and whatever you want to call it, that they had plenty of time and nowhere to go. So it was just like tank here and tank there and tank here and tank there. And I've done the same thing. And it's really hard for me not to do that. I was looking at one of my racks of 16 tanks yesterday going, I could set that back up because I still have all the tanks. I still have the racks, the metal racks, just broken down. It's like, no, you don't need to do that. You don't need that. You need to focus on what you've got, which, by the way, I've got an awesome product that I'm going to be doing a video on. It was actually a gift from Chattanooga Ed. It's a Wi-Fi outlet, and it's super, super cool. I think y'all are going to like it. It's cheap, and it's really a game changer. Just kind of tying in with fish room efficiency and making the hobby a little bit more easier and enjoyable. So I think y'all will like that. That's coming soon. I don't know if I'll release it before next Thursday, or I've got a really cool thing I'm thinking about doing that we may start up next Thursday night. I need to get through here. I'm probably running low on time. How long have we been streaming here?
Got an hour. For my Secret Santa, or I was the Secret Santa for BJ. I almost said I hate stupid people, but she gave me my awesome stuff.
Absolutely. That is awesome.
BJ Palmer is who I sent them to her.
Nice.
And then I got a set for you and a set for Bob and a set for myself, and I've lost my set. And I really wish I had it because my lights have been driving me crazy lately. I've been trying to get the remotes working, or not the remotes, the timers all synced up. Yeah. And for some reason, the timers just stop working on one side of the fish room. And in this one, I think it's not quite as long enough. So,
well, I won't go too far into detail on them because, again, watch the video. We're talking numbers, right? But the little outlets that you got me, they're amazing. There's an app you download, and you can set those things with however you want to do it. Like, the possibilities are just limited by your imagination on what you can do with these things. Anything from just your standard lighting schedules all the way up to like water top-off systems. You could set up pumps on them and have them shut on and off at a certain time. I mean, we'll talk about that in the video, but they're really cool and they're really convenient, make life a little bit easier. RV Animals. Oops, sorry, buddy.
I just got excited because I saw BJ.
Absolutely. RV Animals Rescue says, I would not know where I would be if I would not have met these wonderful fish fan people here on YouTube because I hit depression hard back in 2018. Absolutely. And I hate to use this word. I hate to use this word because of what it's been turned into. But I was really hoping tonight would be kind of a safe space, if you will, for people to be like, hey, I've been there. I know. I agree. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad that, people are feel safe enough in this environment to share. And I appreciate that. And you're absolutely right. If it wasn't for you awesome people, I wouldn't be where I'm at. So huge thank you to you all. And we're glad to have you here with us. Ooh, very, very cool.
It is.
Let me go down here. Mr. Zen, I hope you were doing well, buddy. Haven't talked to you in a while. As always, though, if you ever need to talk, just reach out to me, my friend. Roll on through here. I know we're coming down to the end of time. We need to head on over to Ed's channel here. He's going to have, I'm sure, a much more fun, friendly, upbeat thing going. But hey, I think this has been a productive conversation. I hope you all have enjoyed it. We've kept 100+ people in the chat for the majority of it. And again, huge thanks to KG Tropicals for the send over. And we will be getting more kind of refocused on fish and fish keeping on the next week's stream. But this was something I wanted to talk about. I've wanted to talk about for a while. So I hope you all have enjoyed it. Get down here. I know I've got a super chat I need to address. Highlighted questions or comments on the way down. All right. Ricky De Hoyos with $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Ricky. Always great to see you with or without the super chats. Very much appreciate it, my friend. Says, hey guys, gonna have to watch the beginning later. Had to feed humans / non-human beings. Looks like Chattanooga Ed is better. We'll ask a question later. Ricky, thank you so much. Feel free to ask a question whenever you want. Appreciate you being here, and I hope the human / non-human feedings went well. Hopefully you weren't feeding the humans to non-humans, although that doesn't make happy piranhas, right?
He's got a bunch of kitty cats and dogs, though. I said then, but Nico just woke up and said, like, did you just say my name?
Absolutely. Paul Sotero says, did the Wi-Fi plug come out of Ed's prop box? Everybody loves your prop box, Ed. Yeah. All my tank lights are on Wi-Fi plugs. They made me better than sliced. They may be better than sliced bread. Yeah, absolutely. They probably did come out of his prop box. Embassy Aquatic says, I'm healing up from my 7th back surgery, and the fish fam has helped me keep my sanity. Yeah, absolutely. Well, a very speedy recovery to you. Hopefully you don't have many more / any more that you have to recover from.
I need 2 surgeries, but because of my aneurysm in my heart, they don't want to do that until they fix my heart.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you all didn't mind the rambling, if you will. Sharing a little bit of myself that maybe I haven't divulged before, but also hoping you all maybe feel safer to share a little more of yourselves and just understand you're not in it alone. We have an amazing community here, an amazing fish fam, and I appreciate you guys. The shrimp emoji is under the food category. That's crazy. Hey, Finn Wiggles, good to see you here. Appreciate you hanging out with us. That being said, we've gone 5 minutes over into Chattanooga Ed's stream time. So I say we go hang out with Chattanooga Ed, but don't forget we've also got Rico Stan. For those of you that are wanting to hang out even longer, Rico Stan has recently joined the Thursday night Fish Room Fever family of streamers. So we've got the awesome lineup. How do I want to phrase this? KG Tropicals is his own amazing entity in and of itself. And then it kicks on over to Fish Room Fever, followed by Chattanooga Ed and Rico Stan for a whole bunch of fun. Some weeks we're all going to be kind of playing off of the same topic. Some weeks we'll have our own things going. But I love both of those guys, huge supporters, and do anything I can for them. That being said, final thoughts, Ed?
Meet y'all in the next one.
Alrighty. You already know what it is. Until next time, keep your fish healthy. Keep yourselves healthy. Don't be afraid to catch yourself a little fish room fever. Just maybe not too much.